Okay, I think I've read the entire internet. JJ, are you ready to get so extreme that the paint peels off the walls?
That's not extreme enough.
I concur. Well, if you're just joining us, you're on the internet. I don't know where I'm going with that. We have the extreme here. This is it. This is the X99 Extreme that a lot of people have been waiting for a long time. And there's some new technology here that's even newer than the new technology that we looked at in the other X99 videos.
Yes.
So where do we even start with this, JJ?
I think people always wonder a little bit about, kind of what the ROG focus is. There's always been kind of the focus in the direction that it's definitely for gamers, and that's 100% true. But all the boards can equally fit across different types of usage models, whether it's gamers, content creators, general users that are looking for advanced productivity. But what we try to really do with the ROG series is push the design envelope and really complementing features that align with specifically overclockers, tweakers, tuners, and then hardcore gamers. So gamers that really kind of want specialized features and functions that complement their usage model, right? And that's going to be in networking technologies, it's going to be in sound technologies, it's going to come through in more advanced type of hardware implementations, and that's what we're first going to jump into. When we take a look at the board right off the bat, it maintains kind of the new design aesthetic that we talked about and we kind of introduced when we went over the Z97 series of boards, right? We took away the white accents. We went for just a more kind of aggressive red and black aesthetic. And I think it looks awesome. I think this board looks really, really, really great. It's got that matte black PCB, the red and the black accents, and then it's got this really clean kind of angled design for the PCH as well as for the primary VRM and heatsink assembly that goes into the I/O backplane. And that's something in itself, right? I mean, when we talk about ROG boards, there's always kind of a serious focus on the overall performance of the way the board's been designed, and that even starts off with the heatsink assembly. So here, of course, we've got this large heatsink assembly that goes over the VRM components. But then we have a heat pipe, and that heat pipe then goes into a larger heatsink assembly that goes into the entirety here of the back portion that also covers the I/O. So this isn't just an aesthetics, kind of an aesthetic decoration to cover the I/O, but also there's a heatsink assembly inside there that helps to go ahead and pull away heat from the VRM, which is of course the hottest running part of the board. But something that's really cool for this generation is this is the first time that we've done direct contact copper design for the heatsink assembly. So, if we were to go ahead and actually remove this and we were to take a look at the underside, it's just like our graphics cards. So instead of just having a heat plate which goes over the primary VRM components like the MOSFET and the driver, although for this board there's no MOSFET and drivers, it uses a power stage, the direct heat pipe makes actually contact directly with that, so you even get more efficient thermal dissipation.
So it's like making contact with the copper in the middle of the PCB.
Yeah. Well, it makes contact directly with the top of those VRM components.
Okay, right.
So we get the most effective.
So I mean the copper on the. Okay, that's right.
Yeah.
The copper on the heat pipe.
The heat pipe, correct. Yeah. So that's a really awesome base design. But as always, of course, if we take a look at the topology and the layout, this just like the WS and like the Deluxe features specialized design implementations and topology enhancements, which have really been tuned to allow you to push the K series and the X series parts to their absolute limits. If you're looking to get the best overclocking capability, as well as being able to specifically tune the cache ratio and the memory much higher than what you're going to see on competing boards, we've got special design implementations on the boards that are going to allow for that. Now with ROG, of course, the kind of the power design, the extreme engine digi design as we call it, is always kind of something a lot of people are interested in, kind of what is new, what's different. Right. And we've actually done a lot. There's some things that look fairly similar, other things that are really, really different. So we still keep the 10K rated capacitors, which ROG boards have now had for a couple of generations. So those are ultra long lifespan. They have extremely high temperature tolerances, extremely low temperature tolerances. But what's really new for this generation is we have entirely new power stages that feature RDS on sensing technology. And the reason why that's important is that allows us to ultimately reduce the error and improve the overall performance of that power stage, so that we're getting overall lower temperatures, we're getting better efficiency, higher power output capabilities, and a whole, if you just want to feel confident that you've got pretty much the absolute best power solution for this platform, especially if you're going to overclock it, that's going to be one portion of it. Another part is the inductors. I was showing you some kind of information beforehand, but we've done some really cool stuff where previously we've had alloy-based inductors, but these are kind of like alloy inductors on steroids. We went back to the drawing board and we have an entirely new internal composition. We refer to it as actually as micro fine, because we've taken the granules that actually exist for the alloy-based material and super shrunk them down, made them very, very compact, and ultimately gives us better thermal performance, better efficiency, better power output. It improves all the characteristics of this. So you have just top-notch power components, whether it's the power stages, the inductors, the capacitors, all the way around. It's just a beast. And so that's always a big part of ROG. So kind of letting you know that if you adopt into ROG, you're getting the best of the best when it comes to those components. Outside of that, though, Of course, we got a lot going on. Standard socket design, just like the other boards. Of course, quad channel memory support, DDR4. When we move over to this section, we've got a couple of cool things going on. So here, of course, you got some quick switches to disable PCIe if you want to. It's predominantly more for benchers than it is for regular users, but you could use it for some debugging purposes.
Yeah, troubleshooting, whatever.
Of course, you got the debug LED, you got the start, you got the reset, you got the slow mode, which is predominantly there for benchers as well. But some cool new functions that we have integrated is one is going to be a safe mode button, which I was talking about. So in the past, all the boards feature MemoK, right, which is a great troubleshooting hardware implementation that allows you to kind of bypass memory initialization or compatibility issues. You can also use it like a semi-clear CMOS.
Yeah, that's what I used it for more than I used it for its true design purpose, like one time.
Yeah.
But most of the time, whenever I would do an overclock and it would mess up, I'd be like, well, I don't want to clear my entire, all my settings in the UEFI. I just want to clear the frequencies. So I'd press that, it would do its thing for a little while, and then the frequencies would be back to 0 or whatever.
Right, exactly.
Reset.
It would just reset just the core parameters, but all your other settings would be okay. But now we actually have one that was purpose-built for that. So when you go ahead and click that button, what it's going to go ahead and do is just revert it to the last stable settings that the board had. And so you won't clear out all the settings that you have. And also, if you were doing overclocking or manually tuning, you've gone back to the last stable point that you had. So it's a really great way to be able to get your back up and running quickly and easily.
So you had 4.6 and you're like trying for 4.7, but you can't hit it. You hit the button, it takes you back to that overclock instead of zeroing it out again. I like that. Yeah. That's fancy.
Now, of course, the board still has, clear CMOS, and you can still do profiles and all that, but that's a really nice one-touch option. Once again, more for probably the benchers because, once you get a board inside of a chassis, it has less value, but, it's a cool function to have. We've also got a new and enhanced retry button on here, which is pretty cool. So this is, once again, more for the overclocking community, for the guys. When you push boards sometimes really, really, really hard, sometimes you can get the board to lock at a certain point, and the board actually needs to, you have to restart it to get it back up and running.
Like a hard reset.
Yeah, so sometimes you might try to press the reset button, but it won't work.
It's like, nah.
Right? So we've had a feature previously in the past, if you held down the power button for 5 seconds, it did a forced kind of reset. And some people didn't know about that. So traditionally, if that reset didn't work, you would usually have to turn off your PSU or pull the power and then go back and power down. So now we've got kind of a button that serves that same level of functionality, that if you run into kind of that hardcore reset requirement, you can go ahead and that retry button and you're good to go. So that's a pretty cool level of functionality. And then we got the standard stuff like here, like of course onboard voltage read points if you want to be able to go ahead and read voltages. Although keep in mind there's always going to be some variance in actuality, because since you have the fiber and you have VCC in, this is a reading of a different voltage plane than what you actually have for the CPU. But it's a little bit more accurate, but generally even with the fiber and the digital controllers you have, the readouts you get generally within software are pretty accurate. So fan control functionality, the board's pretty much packed to the gills. It's got a ton of fan headers, so if we go ahead and do some count offs here, we've got 2 here, we've got a third here, we have 4 or 5, then we can go ahead and move over here and we have 6, 7, and then we've got another connector. So you've got a ton of fan connectors. This features, though, ROG's new fan connection design implementation, which is based off of channel grouping. So we still have our Fan Expert 3 technology, which means you can do fan calibration, you have DC, and you have PWM output control. But ideally, it's designed to best be suited when you match the actual fans to each grouping, because they're kind of set in a grouped parameter of control. So you guys can definitely look at the manual and kind of get a little bit more information around that, but we still maintain our very advanced fan control that you have within the UEFI and within the operating system.
What options do you have for like extending the number of fans?
So yeah, this board compared to the WS and the Deluxe doesn't offer our cool little fan extension module system. So if you wanted to, let's say, have 3 more fans for your system for whatever reason, the best way to probably achieve it would be to set one of the headers into PWM mode, and then by like a cheap PWM splitter cable, plug it in, and then from there that will send out that signal to those associated fans that are then powered by your power supply.
Right, so you have 2 fans in the front, and those are both going to be controlled by the one port. So you control that one, and it just controls the air coming in the front, or
exactly.
whatever. Yeah.
And you can do that for multiple headers. So each header you could additionally go ahead and put a splitter on there if you wanted to even have more headers that are more headers than that one primary that you're sending the actual signal from. So in terms of the connectivity, you've got tons here. You've got, of course, got M.2 right here, so that's great, supporting up to 2280 based M.2 SSDs. You've got a front USB 3 header right here for the serial ATA. If we go ahead and just flip that guy around right there, we can see that we've got tons 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, so 12 serial ATA, pretty much like all the other X99 boards that we've covered, pretty much stacked to the gills. Of course, those are all standard SATA 6G. These right here, 4 are SATA 6G, but also serve as SATA Express. So, of course, for that next generation of SATA Express-based SSDs, you're good to go. Should you want to be able to go ahead and incorporate Thunderbolt as well, you've got the Thunderbolt header, so you can go ahead and drop that in there. So for guys that maybe set up this as not only a gaming system, but maybe a high-end, storage backup purposes, or they're doing maybe some content creation work and they want Thunderbolt.
And I want to clarify that it is a separate thing you pick up.
Correct. It is not included within the unit. Directly below that, we've got Keybot, and for you guys that want know a lot more about Keybot, you can go make sure and check out the previous Z97 video. But it's awesome. It's pretty much just this hardware control chip that allows you to go and have direct hardware level commands on any keyboard. Plus, you can add some really cool functions to your keyboard that no keyboard has to offer, such as being able to reboot straight into the UEFI or enable other functions. And we're working on even putting more of them in because we can control the firmware of what Keybot allows for.
Yeah, you guys really need to go check out the Keybot video. Keybot is something that has me like on the fence between this board and the WS, because Keybot is like, it's such a silly thing to be like having that weigh so heavily on my decision, but it's just so handy.
It is.
I love things that make life easier, make normally complicated tasks quick and easy.
Yeah, and that also allows you to maintain flexibility with a lot of different products. I think that's the one cool thing, is that even if you were to change, your keyboard to a different keyboard, you could still keep so many of your customized macro commands because you've defined them within Keybot, and you can turn it on and off easily. So it's a really awesome function for users that want to be able to kind of power tune their keyboard, right? Directly below that, we've of course got BIOS switch, because the ROG board features true 2 independent removable BIOS chips, or UEFI chips.
Yeah, they're right over there. Yep.
So the great thing, of course, as well is that those are they're non-soldered, right? So we can see right here, so that even in worst case scenario, if there was an issue, of course, you could contact us. We could send you out a chip. You could go and replace it. So not only do you have a backup chip, or you could keep 2 different UEFI versions for tuning purposes, but the board also has USB BIOS flashback. So in the event that you want to update or recover the UEFI, no CPU, no memory, no graphics card, just PSU power is needed, or even if the board had a corrupted ROM and it doesn't post, you can still recover it. So that's an awesome built-in mechanism as well. You've got the ROG extension cable, which is great because it allows you to go ahead and utilize these 2 accessories right here. We've got the ROG front base that we talked about with Z97. This is a really awesome external hardware monitor, so you can see like temperatures, your fan speeds. You can do one-touch overclocking. You can adjust the volume. You've got a quick escape button. You've got a really high quality shielded stereo signal cable that connects directly to the audio, so you get the best audio and headphone experience. You've got the OC panel, which is similar to this guy. It can be go ahead and fold it up like this, and you can put it in your 5 1/4 bay. And when you go ahead and put that into your 5 1/4 bay, it gives you same thing: monitoring, fan control, one-touch overclocking. And if you're kind of a tweaker and tuner, you want to run a benchtop, you can see that you got all these buttons, and you've got a lot of tweaking elements right here. So you can do things like advanced temperature monitoring, B clock adjustment, multiplier adjustment, voltage tweaking, fans, VGA hot wire, and just tons and tons more. And these accessories are exclusive to only being offered on ROG series motherboards, but it's great that users can go ahead and leverage them. You got USB 2 there, another front USB 3 header. So in total, the board has 2, which is great because you can do front chassis lead, or you can do like a card reader, things along those lines, or chassis that have both. When we get over into this section, of course, we've got the full isolated ROG audio design. So you've got the ELNA audio grade capacitors, you got the shielded audio codec, you have the Sonic Sense amp, which same thing, you guys can go and check out the Z97 videos where we actually demoed a lot of that stuff, and we specifically showed the brand new virtual surround settings that we've built in, the Sonic Sound Stage, the Sonic Sense amp, which automatically detects headphone impedance when you plug your headphones in, which is really, really cool. And just that whole software suite. So that's all built into this. So you're getting awesome, great integrated hardware quality. It's pretty much equivalent that if you want to think about it, everything that we talked about in the Maximus Hero motherboard. So all the audio design that's on there is exactly the same as what you have here. So really great, high quality integrated audio, which is really tailor-made, kind of like for gamers. So if we pull this guy around, and we take a look here at the back I/O, you've got a ton going on there. You've got still ROG Connect. Some of you guys might not be aware of ROG Connect. We've had it for a long time, but that's a special link technology that if you have an ROG Connect cable, you can go ahead and connect that to a notebook. And with a notebook, you have external hardware level control to the whole motherboard. You can do monitoring, you can clear the CMOS, you can flash it, you can tweak and tune it, you can do all kinds of crazy stuff. It's really awesome. You got clear CMOS there, 2 USB 2 ports for optimal legacy and compatibility. You got a combo PS2 port, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 USB 3. Same like the other boards where you have a discrete AS Media 1042A, so you get better interoperability and compatibility, plus ensured bandwidth. You got the USB 3 boost for better storage performance, and USB Charger Plus for quick charging your tablets and your smartphones. You got that Intel Gigabit Ethernet built in, and it's a red jack, and that is our special new improved LAN guard implementation, so you get improved resistance against surges and spikes, as well as better performance and overall better quality connector. And it also comes with our game first packet priority software, so if you're looking to prioritize your game performance, as well as actually anything, you know, Skype, Google Hangout, downloading, web browsing, streaming, whatever it might be, you can do one-touch optimizations, and it works for both that physical neck as well as the wireless that's built on board. So this one, just like the Deluxe, it's the only boards on the market that feature 3x3 811 AC. So if you want pretty much the fastest 811 AC wireless performance you can get, along with Bluetooth, you've got that. Supports turbo clamp and beamforming. And then you drop down, you got the multi-channel line level audio output, gold plating to minimize oxidation, and then of course you got your optical output, which supports the DTS Connect for you guys that want to run out to multi-channel receivers. Things along those lines. And wrapping it up here, if we take a look at the bottom, the board's stacked on PCIe expansion. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 physical by 16 slots. You got another one there. You got great slot spacing. This is a perfect board if you want to do 1, 2, 3, or even 4-way configurations, whether it's going to be SLI or Crossfire. The board's a beast. So I mean, all the way around, it pretty much complements, you know, just about any type of PCIe configuration that you're looking for. Not as many PCIe slots as the WS, but you know, for the majority of gamers and the majority of enthusiast users, this is really going to enable a huge amount of flexibility. It's also really nice for optimal airflow if you've got larger size GPUs as well.
And I'm kind of curious, everybody out there in the audience, if you guys are getting one of these, I want to know what you're going to be using it for, and just sort of, you know, how many graphics cards you're going to be putting in it. I want to know what people who are getting. I mean, this is like the most extreme, you know, gaming motherboard that I've seen so far.
Yeah, I mean, for us, this is the most advanced, even compared to like our Black Edition board, which we released on X99. The power delivery and the design layout and things are even more advanced. I mean, the Black Edition might have had a little bit more high-end audio implementation, but overall, this is pretty much the new, you know, king of the hill when it comes to that. If you're talking about the highest end kind of tweaker, tuner, enthusiast gaming board, this is going to be it. And you know, and there's tons more software too, you know, things like that we haven't noted, which if you check out the other videos like the Sonic Radar along with those other Supreme Effects 2014 features are covered in there. And like always too, the board comes still with full versions Kaspersky Antivirus and Daemon Tool Pro Standard. The Kaspersky AV, I also definitely don't overlook it. You know, if you guys have been looking at the news, more and more infections and ransomware and malware continues to permutate out there on the interwebs, and knowing that you've got something that's just included in there that helps to protect your system against those type of threats, especially if you're downloading a lot of content, you're connecting to different game servers and things along those lines, you know, that maybe you combine that with a great thing like, you know, private VPN internet access to give you a little bit more anonymity. They're really great ways that help you to protect your system.
The last question I want to ask you guys is, there's a lot of you know, new features on this we haven't really seen on other motherboards. So let us know what you think about those. I'm curious, you know, personally, which ones that you think that you would use the most. If there's something on there that you think you might not use, that also be interesting to
definitely, know. You know, I love going out into your guys' forums and listening to your guys' feedback. I think that, you know, we've shown generation after generation, we really try to pay attention to the feature and functionality that a lot of you guys want. You know, things like the sound, like the fan controls, the enhancements that we've made into the UEFIs. A lot of those things all really have just been based off of people saying, you know, this is really what we want to be able to see, and this is, you know, what we like within our product, and what we want to continue to also refine. So we've tried to do that. You know, I know probably the biggest one will be, some people always ask, is whether also this board has our 5-way optimization or auto tuning technology. At this point, we still have not yet incorporated it. We are working to implement our dynamic real-time auto overclocking technology that we have like on the WS and on the Deluxe series, or the mainstream series, like the A, the Pro, and the Deluxe. But right now this still uses CPU level up, so it's got that targeted preset-based overclocking.
Right.
So it doesn't necessarily allow for as much kind of specialized fine-tuning. From a manual perspective, of course, it's got the most extensive options, right. You know, and the most robust management options for sure. But from that automatic perspective, it's pretty solid. It's got some nice options with CPU level up, but we're definitely looking forward to try to incorporate that soon.
Speaking of options, there are a few more videos that you should take a look at. We've got the Deluxe video, and you guys can click on the screen and see all the ASUS X99 videos. But we checked out the Deluxe. We also checked out the Workstation, which I really liked personally. Might end up using that for my next build. And also check out the overview on all of the technology, software, and just, you know, all the stuff that you guys have done that's exclusive for this generation. So go ahead and click on the screen, check that out, and we'll see you in those videos.